What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another ARP Neuro Q&A. My name is Jake. I'm the ARP Neuro trainer, and with me is, probably doesn't even need an introduction, our CEO of ARP Neurotherapy, Matt Dell. Matt, good to see you again, sir. How are you doing?
Jake, I'm doing fantastic. Always a pleasure. I love the backdrop. I think it's just to tease me since I'm up here in Chicago and it's a little chilly, and you're down there with the beautiful sunset and light of Florida. So I think we've got guests coming on with some sunlight as well in Arizona. I'm very excited about our guest today. But yeah, you want to give us a little intro of who we're going to have on today?
Yeah, absolutely. Very unique company. You've been there. And today we're going to shine a light on Rotational Athlete Solutions, a premier performance training facility in Scottsdale, Arizona, built specifically for rotational athletes. Founded by former pro pitcher and ex-Oakland A's director of throwing performance, Casey Upperman, this company blends cutting-edge technology with personalized programming to optimize how athletes train, recover, and perform. They use state-of-the-art technology, video, and elite-level coaching to deliver a truly individualized experience for pitchers and other rotational athletes ready to level up in an absolutely unique facility where science meets performance. Please give a warm welcome to Casey Upperman and Sierra of Rotational Athlete Solutions. Here's a quick video before you see them.
Boy, I love the facility. Great looking video introduction. Welcome, guys. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you? Nice to meet you, Matt. Jake, nice to see you again.
Good to see you as well.
Very excited. Love your facility. It looks amazing. So, let's jump right in. And looks, you've been in the baseball world and now you've got a phenomenal facility. Tell us a little bit about, give us a background and your story a little bit.
Yeah, so RAS was founded in 2018, kind of based on the simple principle of how my baseball career ended, which, in my opinion, left a lot of unanswered questions as to why things happen, why injury happens, why players with talent essentially just don't make it. And that's kind of all encompassing. I wouldn't be able to sit here and tell you that I have the answer to that yet. I probably never will, absolutely. But we're proud to continue to hopefully create a roadmap to continue to answer those questions and help players of all levels.
I love it. Okay. I mean, tell us a little bit about, go back, where are you from? Are you from the Arizona area, or where'd you grow up?
Yeah, born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay. Moved away for a little bit to obviously play, but this was and will always be home for me.
Okay, good. Good. And Sierra, tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you from?
I'm from Indiana, small town in Indiana. Went to Huntington University. I was with the Chicago White Sox for 3 years, and then I decided to come over to RAS, and I started here in January.
Nice. Yeah. Well, it's a lot better weather. Let's be real. Getting out of Chicago and getting to Arizona, love the move. Can completely get that. So tell our listeners today a little bit about the facility and the typical, clients that you have. Do you have, everything from high school all the way through to pros? Tell us, educate us a little bit on that.
Yeah, so we pretty much start at high school and above. We do have some youth programs and a youth club organization that we're rolling out as well, but we predominantly specialize in that 14 to 40 range. Depending on the season will be what our clientele in facility would look like. Summer is obviously big, high school, college. Once we get to end of October through February, that's when we're heaviest with our pro clientele. But year round, we service high school and college, whether it be in facility or remote, and then in facility with the pros during that off-season time period. And then we service our pro players throughout the entire year through our remote database as well, even though we can't be with them in person.
Okay, and tell our listeners, like, what does that entail? Strength and conditioning? Does it, mechanics? Give the listeners a little bit of all the intricacies that go into your training process.
You froze up there for a second. I got that last sentence. Could you repeat that?
It was such a brilliant sentence too, but that's welcome to the internet. I'm having some internet challenges, but I said, tell our listeners a little bit about some of the technology that you bring and integrate with your programs. Is it more performance-based? Is it mechanical? Is it, what is it that you guys specifically kind of try to focus on? I'm sure it's a multitude of things, but give us a little more background if you could.
Yeah, from a technology standpoint, we try and touch all the bases of things that we find applicable via a data collection standpoint through our assessment. We use our TrackMan. We have a Proteus machine. From a recovery standpoint, we touch anywhere from obviously the ARP system that we continuously use. We have portable Mark Pros that we kind of run around, although we're kind of getting rid of those. Rapid Reboot. We have a sauna, our high-speed video camera system. We have a digital camera-based AI system as well, where we are able to capture biomechanical sequences of our pitchers, whether it be in facility or with them through remote. We definitely touch all the bases when it comes to our tech, but we only really like to use the things that we can then apply from a training perspective to help them get better.
Okay, good. And tell it. You mentioned a couple things, Mark Pro and the ARP. Are they comparable, or what are the differences of these technologies?
No.
Okay. I'm not familiar with Mark Pro. I've heard of it.
They are not comparable.
Okay.
Yeah, they are not comparable in my eyes now that we've had the experience that we've had with the ARP system, and even just the ARP protocols, whether it be from a performance standpoint, the ability to identify weak links, from a recovery standpoint, which right now with the season that we're in, we just have a drastic number of players continuously asking if they can get on a ARP recovery program for the specific area or issue that they're dealing with, that competition kind of puts on their body. So from a comparable standpoint, it is non-comparable. And we continuously are moving away from the Mark Pro and towards the ARP Wave just because of the results, essentially.
Yeah, it's all about the outcomes. I appreciate that, because I know it's prevalent. I know the Mark Pro. I've heard the name. I don't know anything really about the technology, but direct current has been around for 20 plus years. When did you guys kind of discover that for your practice and for your business? How long have you guys been using it?
Yeah, we discovered it a couple years ago. We had some players that had some experience with it. One that uses it religiously on the road, swears that is the reason why he's still pitching at an elite level. So that's when it kind of got introduced to us. We use another company from a tech standpoint called Armored Heat, and one of the guys there, Ben Holmes, he came in one day and was telling me a little bit about his journey and the things that have helped him. And he really got to the ARP Wave, and we kind of got down to the question of like, what's the number one tool? We weren't even talking about that type of device. It was more so like, what do we think is actually important? And his delivery and story as to how the ARP helped him and continues to help him kind of sold me. And that's when I reached out to you guys, and he kind of set that connection up. And within no time we had it, and we started using it, started learning it through your guys' courses. And there's probably not a database and a resource library like the ones that you guys have for people who are just getting into it and just using it and applying it. So not only is the technology outstanding and helpful, but from a coaching standpoint, I know sometimes technology, and especially in that realm where there's certainly a lot of words that I can't spell, that can be daunting for a performance coach. But the customer support and the vast selection and just library of resources, training tools, education, in my opinion, is one of the main reasons why it's been so successful as quickly as it's been here. And I see it being a vital part of how we train and recover players, obviously for the end goal of maximizing their performance.
I really appreciate that. Some great insight. Although Jake's absolutely, and his team is going to hit me up for a raise without question. I mean, it's
we need more guys, girls. I need to hire more people.
I mean, this is
Casey,
insane.
you're
I don't
on the
know.
Christmas
This is a
list now.
setup. This is like a setup, but no, I appreciate that. Is we pride ourselves because the technology, this direct current has been around. It's becoming more and more recognizable because really from the athletes you just described, this is a story that we hear all the time in all the major sports. And now it's trickling down to collegiate athletes and high school athletes. And it's so good to hear because it is such phenomenal technology. Our goal is to make sure you're getting full utilization of it, whether it's because there's so many different breakdowns that occur. And I got to tell you, one of the things, and I did do a little research and I got to hear about it because I love how you guys have a protocol and a way to scan all the players coming in, finding some of those breakdowns that they don't even know exist. Tell our listeners a little bit about that process because I think it's amazing. I think it sets you guys apart because you guys are doing a full, kind of an intake and then performance to avoid all those injuries. So I'd love to hear your intake process with that because it seems so amazing.
Yeah, you broke up one more time. Could you repeat that question?
Yeah, I said your intake process, I've heard is phenomenal. How you guys bring the athlete in, then you kind of check for those breakdowns. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about that process? Because I think it's unique and I love to hear the backstory because I think it's a great process.
Yeah, so every player that we take in, we prefer to take them in facility, which we call our assessment. It's kind of a discovery phase as to, us taking the things that we've seen and identifying areas that we feel that they should improve. But majority of the time, what we do is we have them list the three main things as to why they are in front of us today. Why did they come in? Why did they make this investment, carve this time out of their schedule, and come and see us? What can we help them with? Majority of the players that we see are pitchers, although they're not just pitchers, catchers, outfielders, quarterbacks, golfers, but majority are baseball players. The majority of those baseball players are pitchers. Regardless of what level they're at, how hard they throw, how much money they've made, of those top three, every single one, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, says, I want improved velocity. Number 2 usually varies a little bit, a different breaking ball, just a better process in general. But the third one always has something to do with health or durability or recovery. And what we'll normally do with that is we'll run them through a physical screen of movement tests that we find important for high-level players that we've seen. From there, we'll run them through an arm care test where we use the arm care system where we're testing internal, external, scaption, and pinch strength, as well as ER and IR range of motion and scaption range of motion. From there, we'll have them run through their process of what they have been doing to lead them to this point as far as a pre-throw. That could be absolutely nothing, which is easily identifiable as to suggestions that we will make afterwards. We'll watch them go through that entire thing. They'll throw a bullpen. We'll have them on TrackMan. We'll get them on our high-speed cameras. Still won't say anything. Once they're done, we'll ask them to grade what came out of their hand, kind of show them the numbers. Is that pretty applicable and relative to what you normally are or are at? After that, we'll ask them, what we just did, how taxing was that for you on a 1 to 100 scale? And then from there, we have them move on to our Proteus system, which will test power, speed, and the ability to stop start. That runs through about 14, 15 different tests. And then at that point, we come together as a team, and that's medical, strength, and performance coaches. We'll take all the data, dissect it, and in relation to what they wanted 1, 2, and 3 to be, we will present where we feel like the weak links are. And then after that, obviously give them a plan, which usually is on an 1.5-hour Zoom call where we give them a full report, explain it in detail, and from there, give them that plan and let them make the choice if this is a good mutual fit, if we're on the same page, and if we want to continue the relationship.
Oh, that sounds like an amazing intake. You know, integrating the direct current and the ARP Neuro, tell us a little bit of some of those wow stories, whether it was performance or recovery based, that you guys have experienced.
Man, I'll start with 1 or 2 on this, and then she's significantly smarter than me, so I'll let her get into the detail. So we have a performance coach here. He's our director of pitching. His name is Kenny Ogg, and he has what you would call significant back problems, lumbar spine. It's not even lumbar spine. It's everywhere. When we first got this machine, we had one of the players that I spoke about, one of our major league players was in, and we really didn't necessarily know how to go through the discovery phase of it. He actually put it on our performance coach, who could not even bend and go past his hips with his hands to bend over. Went through the discovery phase, put it on, found the area, had him go through a couple exercises, and I'm talking this is within 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Once we took that off, he looked like Gumby and he felt like Gumby. He's a former ex-professional pitcher as well. He actually wanted to get on the mound and throw, and his feedback right then and there, I mean, this is day 1 or day 2 after we got it in the mail, was I wouldn't say the true selling point, but it proved to me, with knowing how bad of a spot he was in and how bad his back is, for him to be able to do that quickly after everything we've tried, and honestly, people all over the country have tried with him. That's where I was like, okay, this is very question of what's the difference? Is there a drastic difference between other systems and ARP, you know, the Mark Pro and ARP or anything else? That right there sold it for me. I've never seen anything like that happen. I thought it was magic. I honestly thought he was joking, but he wasn't, and he continues to use it. And hopefully I don't lose him and he tries to go back and play again. But right then and there
it sounds like when he was ready to.
And I know,
yeah, and that's, I mean, we love.
Yeah, you were saying I was going to cost you some money. Yeah, you almost cost me some money there.
I know. Well, it's funny because I see it in anybody that it so helps performance, and we've got so many professional guys that had to go through Tommy John. They're out of the league, and you know they come back because they've heard from another player or a coach or trainer. They get into our system. They get our direct current, and they're back. And you talk about losing them. They love it because now they're back in the league on contracts and doing what they love. So apologize if we're bringing in some of those injured guys that are watching today, and then you get them for a short period and then they're in the league. Hopefully they're plugging you when they're back on the mound in the bigs. But that's a great story that we love to hear. Those aha moments, especially when you start talking about performance or recovery or just getting more velocity because you're strengthening so many different areas of the mechanics of throwing or on all these athletes. Give us a couple other wows where you're like, okay, we see this because you have all the technology to base performance. Tell us some other examples so our listeners know how you guys have also integrated that for other athletes.
Yeah, I'll go through one more. Just from a performance coach standpoint, a pitching coach standpoint. We had a player who had a really, really difficult time essentially decelerating his pelvis not necessarily lead leg blocking, but decelerating his pelvis effectively. And we were seeing that get affected up the chain, almost even into his T-spine extension. We went through a discovery phase with him on the mound and had him go through some movements, not necessarily knowing exactly where it was going to come from, because as a coach, you're using high-speed cameras, you're using your naked eye and experience to dissect mechanics and try things. But at the end of the day, regardless of anyone says, when it comes to the eyeballs and cameras, you're making an educated guess. And what we saw there is we were able to identify a part of his body that he didn't even know he had. Obviously, he knows where his limbs are and everything, but a muscle group in an area that we were able to turn on through those movements. And in taking that information, we were able to drill it, activate it prior with the ARP on as well, get him on the mound. He was able to feel it through the movement. And we were able to see a significant change in his biomechanics, a positive change, without going down the rabbit hole of making a player think a ton and think about their mechanics and external cues and trying to get to kind of that danger zone of trying everything to squeeze everything out of the toothpaste bottle, essentially. And we've seen that player kind of go from 88 to 90 to 92, 94, touching 95. And for a player in his shoes, that velocity jump while taking torque down on his elbow, which we've actually measured as well, that's one way to prolong your career and maximize your ability to earn income through the period of time that these players have. It's such a competitive world out there, and there's so much advice online on pitching mechanics and technology and recovery, and this works, is the only thing that works. In my opinion, you can take this system and you can plug it into what your belief system is as far as training a player, and you can stay with that and kind of keep your core values while also allowing yourself to identify why things aren't happening and why the mechanics look a certain way. And that was a really powerful thing for us as well. Not only for me, but everyone here involved, to see that, because we're all just here to help. And sometimes you give poor advice out of good intentions and it doesn't work out. This just kind of helps bulletproof you a little bit more in regards to the advice you're giving and the impact it'll have on a player. And I don't mean to speak anymore on that. I could probably go on for a minute, but I know Sierra has some examples too that I think she'd like to talk about.
Yeah, I'd love to hear them. Thanks. That's some good insight.
I think one of the biggest things for me with using ARP is a lot of the high school and collegiate players would come in with either forearm or bicep soreness, and I would do the search protocol on them and find the first hot spot, and I would be roaming around their shoulder, their rotator cuff muscles, their pec area, and a handful of them, their rotator cuff muscles will start barking. And they're like, oh, so that would be one hot spot. So I'd have the conversation with them that everything works up the chain. So it's not always what you're feeling right there in the moment, so the bicep or the forearm, but your smaller muscles in your rotator cuff, your shoulder, and even in the front area of the pec and the deltoid are weak. So what we would do is I like to do one strength session with the ARP on, and usually we do that after a bullpen to keep our high days heavy. And then we'll always do a recovery session after the strength session, and then we'll do a recovery session later in the week as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think it is amazing that when a player or an athlete or anybody really, weekend warrior, they've got pain somewhere and they think, oh, my shoulder. When in reality, there's a compensation going on with a smaller muscle group that needs to get strengthened. And that's why it's amazing so many people are going under the knife without really understanding the reason. It's just, oh, my shoulder. And then they get an MRI and you've got some of that, where there's so much that can be fixed, if you will, and strengthened with this direct current. So love that story. Any other that pop out at you that you've discovered as you've been, scanning and doing the utilizing the scans on some of your clients?
We did one of the ones that stuck out to me. Another is the hand bath. I was a little nervous when we were first going to start doing this, but I had a player come up to me, and one of his buddies in pro ball has done it before, and he wanted to try it, to do a recovery session with it. And I was like, all right, we're going to sit through this together. We're going to go through it. We got his hand in, and he felt the electrical current going down his fingertips. And then I do 2 to 3 exercises while they're in the water, and then let.
Uh-oh, Sierra?
I think we may have.
I think, yeah,
we
it
lose
looks like
them?
they're having some technical difficulties on their end.
Oh, wow.
Right on the hand bath. So excited.
Exactly.
Technology froze it.
I know. Well, the hand bath is amazing. The next question I was going to ask about was the foot bath, and
Yeah.
hopefully they've taken advantage of that. Well, we've never really ended a Q&A like this.
Yeah.
We've ended it speechless. Jake.
Well, it can never be speechless with you involved, Matt.
Yeah.
We'll check back up on them later on and see if they.
Yeah.
It looks like no. I think I saw Sierra blink.
I don't know. Well, we might have lost them. Well, that's the internet for you. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Jake,
good stuff though.
I think what a great, very informative. We got a lot out of today. I mean, very impressed with the facility.
Yeah, you should have been there. It was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody needs to get a hold of them, how can they track them down?
Well, because Sarah's such a rock star, she's already left up the website. So rotationalathletes.com.
Okay.
That has a sign up sheet there. They have a really, really good website. I perused it this morning and yesterday. So yeah, make sure you guys check that out. And their Instagram, there it is right there, rotational_athlete_solutions. And Casey, if you want to kind of look at some of his training and some of his videos when he played for the A's and some of his pitching stuff, there is at Casey UPPS ups. Make sure you check that out, but they are a fantastic facility. It's unfortunate they bounced off because, I work with a pro athlete. He was a football player. He used to play for the Jets. He was on our show, Matt, and he wanted me to ask them because he lives in Scottsdale if they would work with a football player.
Oh, yeah.
Quarterback is a rotational position, and
Yes.
he also works with the ARP. So, he's right down the block. So I'll have to get them touching base.
Well, we might have to do another one. I think this was a great, at first I thought it was my internet freezing up. So it is what it is. I guess I know what's happening next when we say goodbye to everybody. You're calling me for that raise because of the phenomenal training support that you've got with all our videos. We've got it now, a downloadable app on the phone. And, anybody that's using direct current is getting full ROI on the technology because now it's making it so easy. It's something that seems complicated. Love the end of the hand bath story because, people start questioning, oh, am I really going to do this in water, whether it's the foot bath or the hand bath? And it's just so amazing, the results. So, look at this.
See that? I knew you would talk enough where eventually they would figure out what's going on and they would hop back in. So Matt, your skill and your gift of gab is paying.
That is, I can't stop talking. But so we got to the hand bath and it sounds like we're having some technical difficulty, but we do have an NFL quarterback that is a big proponent of this technology and wanted to know, can you work with him? Do you work with, NFL quarterbacks?
Yeah, we've had quarterbacks come through in the past. Through the programs that we normally run are predominantly for pitchers as far as like the actual throwing programs and progressions, but it's the same essential foundations and fundamentals. My mentor, who I learned under, is one of the premier quarterback coaches in the world. His name's Tom House. So a lot of the stuff that we do, the foundations and the process and protocols that we've implemented are the same processes and protocols that I was watching Tom Brady do and all the guys that were able to roll through that NPA system. So yeah, we'd absolutely love to meet him and hope to see if we could help.
I love it. How about tennis? Because tennis is such a big, it's do you guys work with any tennis pros or tennis athletes? Because again, that throwing motion and the serve is so similar to throwing a baseball. Uh-oh. We're freezing again. Oh, well.
I do have some good news though, Matt, because Tom House, one of we have a sales rep. Colin,
yeah,
works with Tom House.
I wonder if it's our internet, but
yeah, I think it's your internet, unfortunately. So I feel better because I thought it was mine at first, and now I don't feel so. I was literally going to call Xfinity as soon as we hang up to say, I need more speed, but it's all good. This happens. This is what happens when you go live. It's all good. But what were you saying, Jake, that we do have
Colin, our sales rep in California, actually met with Tom House on Monday.
Oh,
so
good.
It's just kind of a small world. And we had a few questions, and I apologize to Jack. We'll have to get back to you on that one, how they utilize that. But there, obviously we have protocols for home, just from our website. So make sure you check that out as well. So we have a lot of at-home things that you can use with this.
Jake, what a great, a unique one.
Yeah.
Internet, it is what it is. Some great content. Hopefully it was some, great input. I will work with you on your raise for sure.
Finally.
Minimum
wage isn't cutting it anymore, Matthew.
Yeah, I know, but we've got all those potential bonuses that we're working with. Anyways, Jake, always a pleasure. Great insight. We're going to have to get them back on. I think this was cut a little too short. Love their stories, but you have yourself a wonderful day. If anybody has any questions or wants to get a hold of us, go to our website, arpneuro.com, and would love to. There it is. Sarah's on top of it. So thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon, and thanks for joining us on another live Q&A.
Take care, Matt. You have a good one, sir.
You too.